In other words, treating you like a non-human was not a matter of conscience. It was natural. You don't have the traits. So you were born to serve me. You were created by the Creator to be second class, to be my slave. You can't argue this. God chose you to be my servant. So the concept was, let me go to the third one. This is very important. This is also written in the Greek philosophy, is that leadership is the product of what? Providence, they said. Providence means the gods chose those who would be leaders, and the gods chose those who would be followers. So this is not a matter of who you think you are. It's a matter of what the gods chose you to be. Do you understand how deep this is? This is in the psyche of the post-European era, which is still not over. Let me explain how this works out practically. If you went to college, what's your name? Okay, John went to college and got a PhD in physics. I'm talking about nuclear physics. This guy is a brain, he's sharp. PhD in nuclear physics. Problem is, it doesn't matter. You are simply seen as a very smart slave. Because your pigmentation, your nose, your lips, your eyes, your hair is the problem. It doesn't matter. So they actually would tell their neighbor, I have a smart slave. In other words, educating you think changes you. It doesn't. It ain't the brain that makes you different. So the system, the culture, doesn't translate your PhD into being a superior human. It says you are simply a superior thinking slave. So it doesn't matter how much education you get. It doesn't matter how much accolades you put behind your name. It doesn't matter how much you achieve. In the Greek mind, in the Roman mind, which is the leadership that came over, you are still a slave by providence. Do you know that they actually created a theology for this? Because every ideology needs a theology to make it legal. Can I say it again? Yes. Write it down. Every ideology needs a theology to make it legal. So you will find, even like in apartheid, apartheid had a theology created by the Dutch Reformed Church, which was based on Greek philosophy as well. Because remember, South Africa was taken over by Romans, Europeans. Hitler, if you all remember Hitler, Adolf Hitler was an interesting guy. Adolf Hitler said that he had a visitation from God. You ever read his Mein Kampf? He believed that God chose him to restore the Roman Empire. That's why he had a plan to take over Europe again. He says that he was chosen by God to establish what he called the Third Reich, the third reign of the Romans. And this is why, again, his concept of leadership, his philosophy made it easy for him to destroy people. Remember, you need blonde eyes, blonde hair, blue eyes, sharp nose. Okay? So when he looked at the Jews, for example, the Jews got dark hair, dark brown eyes or black eyes, olive skin. He said, they were designed, they are rats to our society, he says. They're sucking our blood. Let's kill them. Why? These are not real humans. The gods have made them to be our slaves. So it was easy to kill 10 million slaves between Africa and Carolina in the water. No, sorry, 60 million died in the ships. I was in Ghana early in this year, and I went to one of the forts where they sold slaves. It's an amazing experience. You should go there. And on the wall was a statement written. It says, slaves left here and went to the Caribbean. So I probably found where my great-great-grandfather came from, one of the holes that they went through. I was in touch with my history for a few minutes. I wept. Here's my point. Where did you get your philosophy from? Determines how you lead people. The way you think about people determines how you lead them or destroy them. So the Greeks believed that the gods chose leaders and the gods chose followers. Let me give you the last one. They believe that leadership is a product of a word they invented called charisma. The Greek says leadership is a product of charismatic personality. They actually defined it, Plato defined it. He says charismatic personality is the gifts of the gods. And he defined some of the gifts like extrovert personality, talkativeness, communicative ability, auditory. Greeks. In other words, if you are open and flamboyant and you are extrovert and you like to talk and you like to communicate and you speak well, they says God chose that one. So So if you were quiet and subdued, you were automatically a slave. And then this is why you develop this idea. They actually told the slave something very important. They told the slave, look, you are to be seen but not heard. Now that statement may sound simple to you, but that was a philosophy. You're not ever supposed to talk. Only leaders talk. You cut wood, you pick cotton, you serve the food, and you, as if you don't exist, you're supposed to be like almost invisible. So they say you must be seen but not heard. Now here's the problem though. That thing has gone so deep into the spirit of the slave that the slave today still brings his children up by saying, be seen but not heard. It's demonic, but you still do it to your children. So when I call you up right now to make a speech in 5 minutes, you're afraid to come. Why? You've been successfully subdued. You call it, I'm shy. You ain't shy. You've been trained to keep quiet.
Yes.
And to be a leader, you must talk. You must share your ideas, communicate your vision. And that's why you're not a leader, because you're so proud to be shy. It's demonic. Being quiet is not a gift. So, it's leadership. You must do your work, but say nothing. You must be in and out without no one seeing you. This is Greek philosophy. So, the master who mastered you told his 4-year-old boy to stand up and recite something. You are 40 years old, he says you must keep quiet. He's 4 years old, he's telling him to talk. You're 40, he's telling you to be quiet. Something's wrong with this equation. So the kid grows up by 6 years old, he is fluent in speech, and you're 40 years old, you're afraid to talk. Because the conditioning of the mind is different. See, sometimes you don't even know why you're the way you are. It comes from Greek philosophy that you live under still. This is probably why it's difficult for many people from the oppressive side of life to emerge as great leaders in industrial states, because they are dragging a heavy history and they're trying to get rid of it. And you want to be a leader with that weight. The problem is, when you set one of those slaves free, he knows he can't lead the master. So he turns on his own people. And he has to imitate the master. So he tells you, keep quiet. Don't tell me what to do. You shut up. I'm in charge. What I say is always right. It's my way or the highway. This spirit is a mentality of a slave with a little bit of power. So you end up abusing your own people because you are mentally sick from historical damage. And then you want a title. Listen, this is why you need a leadership seminar like this. First of all, to identify your problem. I'm not impressed by you telling me you are a bishop. It means nothing to me. Let me quote something from the Bible that's very important. Very important. It's found in the book of Ecclesiastes, I think it's chapter 11. Solomon says, woe to the land when a slave becomes king. Let me quote it again. This is in the Bible. Woe to the land when a slave becomes king. The word woe is the worst word in Hebrew. Jesus used it a few times. It's a curse word. It means damned you. It's a horrible word. Okay, let me quote it one more time. Damned is the people in the land when the person in charge thinks like a slave. Woe to the land when a slave becomes what? King. Let me tell you something. Putting a crown on a person's head doesn't change their mind. See, I really want you to think about yourself for a minute. The people you've been following. Are you just a bunch of sheep? Are these people free who are following you? Or are they parasites feeding on your fear? Propping up their own insecurity by your submission. Ladies and gentlemen, I have come with anger in my heart because I was there. It's a sad place to be. Lost and don't know it. Blind and thought you could see. We are victims of a leadership philosophy that is still controlling us today. So you go to work on Monday and you see the master in the department and your whole body becomes afraid. You are still sick. Then you see one of your fellow brethren and there's no fear. How come you have different responses to these two different images? Because you are still sick in your mind and you have a title. Please buy this CD. This is one you got to give your kids, because you see, if you don't get this thing in your head, you are simply a well-dressed, highly educated, powerful, crowned slave. You say you believe the Bible, but you actually follow the Greeks.